understand and accept that you are going to make mistakes.
Right.
That's a part of the summer learning process. The best way to approach receiving feedback and not spiraling is
for people interested in law school or in law school. We want to be that guide for folks that gives you the inside scoop you're not going to get anywhere else. We know what big law firms are actually looking for. Lock in and go big law.
Welcome back to Lock In and Go Big Law. I'm Genevieve.
And I'm Jennifer.
And I think one of the burning questions that we're always asked by students, is what is the summer associate experience like? You have 10 weeks with the firm, and people want to know about the assignment process and mentorship and the events and how to navigate all of those. And you're in luck. Because today's episode, we're going to talk about all of that. And we're joined by Sidney, she was a 1L summer associate. She's joining us again for her 2L summer.
And she killed it.
So we're lucky to have her with us today.
Welcome, Sidney.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you go to law school. Feel free to add in any fun facts. We always welcome a fun fact. Take it away.
Well, thank you for that great introduction. My name is Sidney Wright. I am a 2L at Berkeley Law. I'm from Houston, Texas, and for undergrad, I went to Howard University where I majored in philosophy and I minored in legal communications and African American studies.
Love it.
After undergrad, I actually just ended up in the Bay by accident. I joined Teach for America, and they randomly placed me here. I had never been to San Francisco, Oakland, Northern California at all.
Wow.
But I decided to take a chance. I moved out here. I taught first grade for a couple years, and I kind of fell in love with the area. I've been here ever since. And I would say, in terms of fun facts, I really enjoy staying active with sports like tennis. I love to hike. And I like to go to live concerts too.
I love that. Shout out Bay Area. Like, what's not to love? I'm like a diehard Bay Area fan. We have a lot of people on our team who are diehard Bay Area fans. And so super excited to have you. And, why we invited you today is because, you were just a summer associate in the NorCal program, and you just, completely knocked it out of the park. You brought, your A game every day, and I just thought that you would be able to really speak to that and really give folks, the inside scoop and the tips and tricks of, how you approached it and, what made you successful throughout it. So if you could just go back in time, what was that, a month or two ago?
But school has been on for a month, so
it's crazy, right? It's back to back. Coming in, I think something that really stood out about you is just your work ethic and the way you approach work. So do you have any tips and tricks of when you're coming into a summer program, how do you approach the work assignment process?
Well, first, thank you so much, for the kind words. I really appreciate it. It was a lot because I was a 1L and I was really nervous coming in. In terms of how I approached work assignments, I think my main priority was reaching out to the attorney, as soon as I can to either set up a Zoom call or a coffee chat either that day or the following day, just to maximize the amount of time that I had to work on the project. And I just wanted to kind of give the attorney the space to talk about the project in their own words. And I made sure before, having the meeting to read through it on my own terms and write out any questions. And I tried to not worry about if it was a silly question or not. I just wanted to make sure that I could approach the project with, the best standing that I could. And I think something that was really important to me was at the end of each conversation, confirming with the attorney things that you think that are common knowledge.
Yeah.
So I think confirming with the attorney the due date is really important because I noticed that sometimes it was different than what it might have.
What's on Micron?
Yes. Well, and just to take it a step back, the Micron portal is our work assignment system here at Goodwin. It depends on what firm you're at. You might have a work assignment coordinator at a different firm. Here we use Micron portal and LawCroot to track all the assignments. And so when we assign something to the summer associates, they get a little message that's hi, Sidney, here's this assignment, here's those supervising attorneys. And then we encourage our summers to reach out within 24 hours. But Sidney is bringing her A game. She's reaching out right away. She's mapping her questions.
Well, also to your point, in the Micron portal, And also to your point, it says, it should take you like 4 hours and like the due date is, it could say like by Friday. And just because it says that one, and I'm sure you know better than anyone, just because it says what the time expectation is, you should probably like double it. And also the due date sometimes is you'll reach out to attorneys and they'll be like, oh, it's a made up due date. Like, I just put that in there. Like it doesn't matter. Or something got pushed and they were like, oh, you can actually get it to me by like the end of next week. So yeah, I think that's a really great point. Make sure during that first meeting you like confirm all the details just so that you also have a max amount of time and can, prioritize all your stuff correctly. But also, were there any like mistakes that you made along the way that you were like, oh, whoops?
Oh, like, slam dunk. So anything that you're like, pat on the back, I am a star that you would recommend. And then on the reverse, any like rookie mistakes that you're like, oh.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure there were both.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely made a couple of rookie mistakes. I think when I first started the program, I was really excited to reach out and get a lot of work. And whenever there was like a period of lull, that second week where I didn't have anything to work on, I thought that was like the time to
You're like, I shouldn't be doing anything. Let me go get out there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would go by other people's offices. I would, chat and get some work. And then the next day I would get like assignments from the formal portal. It was a lot to juggle at some points,
right.
But it was a good time for me to kind of improve my time management because I had to get it all done. So, and also it helped me to improve like my communication with the legal recruiters and the other attorneys. So it was a learning experience, but I would say to folks, next summer to take those little opportunities as time to, yes, chat with other attorneys, but maybe
to like go to lunches, fill it with networking. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's such a common thing that pops up for everyone. Like, I'm sure we hear about it every summer, and you're not the only summer that does that. I mean, literally every summer, and I'm sure every summer associate has been through that. That's like one of the biggest things that you're going to learn in the summer program is like, how do I take on work and not take on too much work, but also I want to be busy, I don't want to be not busy. But then I just signed up for all this stuff, and now you're like, holy crap, I just signed up for all this, and now I don't even know what to do. And honestly, Jennifer and I are always going to say, come talk to legal recruiting.
Come to legal recruiting. No, seriously, come talk to legal recruiting. Because like, once you realize that you may have taken on a little bit more than you thought initially, how did you approach it, right? Did you go and drop a project, or did you do it all? What would you recommend, and how did you do it?
Yeah. Well, I would say I was definitely adverse to dropping anything. I wanted to make sure like when I made a commitment, I stuck to it. So like I said, like time management, I moved my calendar around and I tried to figure out a way to make it all fit. And then I reached out to you, Precious, the legal recruiters, in the SF office. And I let them know, hey, I have a couple more projects. I added it to the Micron, but I'm still getting things. You guys immediately addressed it, stopped giving me work for a week so I could finish those assignments. And so that was pretty much it. I just kind of had to work through it.
I think it's important to be really transparent with your staffing coordinators. It depends on the firm. But to your point, unless it's like all we know everything that you're doing, we don't know everything that you're doing. Exactly. So like we are assigning you things like, oh, Sydney looks light. Let's give her some more work. And you're like, I'm dying.
You're like, I'm actually dying. Well, we had a situation in New York this past summer where one of the summer associates she took on an assignment, but then the assignment, like the scope kind of changed, and she realized like, whoa, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And also, I think they needed someone with like language skills. And she was just like, this is like this is not for me. Yeah. And so she like came to me right away and managed to, get her off of it and managed to staff someone else. But yeah, situations like that happen all the time. Great advice.
Thank you. And then I guess in terms of something that I felt I did well this summer was I think like making connections with other attorneys, especially in the litigation department. That was my number one priority, I think, coming in, especially as someone who I don't have any other lawyers in my family. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that I connected with somebody that I felt comfortable like having like candid conversations with about the work, about, the life of an attorney in general. So I think that was something that I did well. I left the summer with having some attorneys where I felt like, okay, like I see you as a mentor. You're someone I can talk to about things. So, yeah.
So off of that, actually, when you're speaking with attorneys during the summer program, sometimes it can be difficult, right? Especially like you had just finished your first year in law school. And, if you're speaking to a partner who's kind of, much further removed from law school, how do you build rapport with them in like a genuine way where it's not like weird?
Or like for lack of better terms.
Yeah. Like how is it, how do you have a genuine conversation where it's like, oh, okay, cool, like I'm learning a lot about them, they're learning about me, and it's not so forced.
And we're all human, right? So it's like we're not going to vibe with everyone all the time. So like how do you approach it in a way that's like authentic to you.
Yeah.
You know?
I think acknowledge and just understand, like, we're all human. Anybody that you're talking to, whether they're a partner or a first year, they've been in your shoes before.
Yeah.
They've been nervous. I'm sure they might even get nervous when they're talking to others at times too.
100%.
So just, I think, approach it knowing there might be awkward lulls, there might be, you know, you might be nervous, but just kind of embrace that and kind of push through that.
Right.
Because the point of it is to get to know this person and to connect.
Yeah.
So I think just kind of stay open and stay curious about them, about their work, about the conversation. And I think if you do that, no matter if, you know, you leave the conversation thinking, I want to talk to you a bunch, or hey, like, you know, maybe just like one or two more conversations.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
If you're open and you're curious, you have some questions, you got them answered, like, that's the point of the conversation, and keep that in mind.
That's such a good point. Honestly, lawyers love to talk about their practices, and it's like, if you keep asking those questions, like, they're gonna chat you up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe would you recommend, even, I don't know if you did this, like, before you went out to lunch with somebody, did you like look up their bio really quickly, or?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would recommend that. I think it's also kind of like an expectation too. Like, I think whenever you reach out to an attorney and you're inviting them somewhere, I think they want to see that you already put that initiative to, like, you know,
Look
showing
into
interest
them.
into who they are. So yeah, I would definitely recommend doing that and using that as a launching point for the conversation, so you can be engaged and so you can have like questions that will, you know, help build trust and build an actual relationship with them, in terms of just kind of making it seem like a random lunch.
Yeah.
Right. And even things like you can find out from their bio of things you have in common, and like law schools, like people, a lot of times that's kind of like their first stop when they join as a summer associate. They're like, let me look up, you know, who went to the same law school as me, and let's like go get coffee with them and reach out. And it never hurts to reach out to attorneys. And as Jennifer said, I mean, attorneys work a lot and they love to talk about what they do. They wouldn't do this if they, you know, didn't love what they did. Yeah, you can't go wrong ever asking them about themselves or some deal they're on or case they're on.
Yeah, I think it's important to try to make that conversation meaningful, as opposed to like, there's this hot new restaurant in town and I want to try it, and I know I need someone to take me so that I can try it on the firm's dime. Like, the attorneys read right through that, right? And so I do think it's important to like make sure that you're like coming in with like even like a base level of knowledge.
Definitely.
And speaking of making meaningful relationships, I think another way that summer programs try to build relationships is through the social events. Do you have any tips and tricks of like how to approach the social events, or like anything that you would have done differently? I mean, you were perfect, so I don't know. But, you know.
And a good one we try to have them like once a week.
We have a lot.
We have a lot.
Like 10.
Some firms will differ and have some, you know, little less, more. But yeah, like Jennifer said, like, how did you deal with that? And especially as you're dealing with assignments, you're dealing with mentorship. How'd you deal with it all?
I mean, I think I just thought of it as part of the job.
Yeah.
The social events, they were fun. I feel like it's like networking, and it's just like more natural.
Right.
So for example, I can talk about my favorite summer event that we had, the cooking class. And I think we were like in small groups, but we were able to also kind of navigate to other tables, just really getting to communicate with each other just on a personal level. I was able to meet like attorneys that were, you know, working, I think it's called sabbatical, where they're like in-house. I was able to meet people that I hadn't already. I was able to connect with other summers that were in the Silicon Valley and the other like California offices. So it's a great way for you to continue to build more relationships. And I think a lot that I heard coming before I started Big Law is it's about like relationships. And I think this summer kind of confirmed that.
You know, coming into the summer program, you know, you see the calendar and maybe you're seeing it on your first day of orientation and you're like, oh, these are all fun. Did you fully recognize the importance of the social events, like coming into the summer? Now, like looking back on it, you're like, oh, those were important for relationship building. But did you understand that coming in? And do you have any advice on that?
Because I'm sure it can be easy. Like you see, you know, bowling and you're like, okay, well, I don't have to go to that. But like to your points of what you're saying, like it's really important for networking with other summer associates, partners, associates, you know.
It was definitely a reflection that I had. In the summer, I think my top priority was like the work product. And I didn't really see the benefit of the social events until the end, where I was like, oh, this is where I actually deepen the relationship with these people. This is when I was able to meet this person, then I was able to try this practice area.
Right.
I just kind of like leaned into it, and I saw the importance of it towards the end when I was able to kind of reflect on, you know, the summer. But yeah, I think it was super important.
Yeah, and I know we're so fortunate to have you coming back for a second summer, your 2L summer. Is there anything that you would approach differently now? This 1L summer under your belt, like coming into 2L, is there anything that you would do differently now?
I want to say yes. I think I want to continue to build on what I did last summer, which was just kind of like prioritizing the work, prioritizing relationships, and just kind of coming in, trying my best every single day. I'm open to trying new things too.
Yeah.
I haven't really reflected on that.
Yeah. And it might be one of those things like once you come back into it, then you'll be able to like set those new goals for yourself.
And I'm sure you've heard things at other firms, like in terms of the do's and the don'ts of like social events, because I mean, there's a lot of do's and I know you spoke on some of them, but are there any things that you heard like at other firms or even yourself where it was like, definitely don't do this at a social event? Any of those that come to mind?
I want to say, like, don't overthink, because...
Ooh, don't overdrink, don't overthink.
Yes,
don't overthink.
I like
That's a new mantra.
I would say, because whenever, like, after events, you know, the summers would come together, and I think that we would just talk about how, I was nervous to do this, that, and it's so natural, and I think it's so easy to overthink these situations and kind of just, like, stick with the other summers. But I think just be open to put yourself out there, be open to walk up to an attorney and introduce yourself. It's way easier to overthink. You may feel a little overworked, but I would just say, like, the social events, like, use them as a time to connect with other people, connect with people that you probably wouldn't or you won't have a chance to outside of, like, the social event context.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I know specifically in New York, we had one event where it was a cooking class. And
we
so
love
to
a
your
good
point, we love a good cooking class. But to your point, like at the beginning, it was literally summer associates over here and attorneys over here. And I was like, okay, let's all mesh.
We're all going to come together.
We're all going to come together. To your point, I mean, I can't blame them. They were nervous. Honestly, believe it or not, attorneys get nervous and they're like, I don't know.
They get so nervous.
They get so nervous. If you're a summer associate, you're not the only one who's nervous in the room. Attorneys too get nervous. And like, I don't know how to walk up to someone and say hi.
But you could have another summer come with you and be like, let's go introduce yourself to so-and-so. Anthony McCusker's here.
Yeah.
That might be a little intimidating. He's lovely, by the way, and so wonderful and approachable. I can see someone being like, oh, I want to meet him, but I'm a little nervous. Bring a friend.
Right.
And he wants to talk to you, you know?
Right. No, the moment that ice breaks, I feel like every time they'll be like, oh, hey. Also, you'll stick in their mind because you came up to them and said hi. So, okay, another really important part of the summer program is feedback. Everyone's favorite, feedback.
Shudders. Yeah.
And this can be especially tough, I think, as a summer associate, just because you're with the firm for 10 weeks. It's just such a short time that you obviously want to do everything correctly and you want to do it right. But there's just no way you're going to do that. Do you have any tricks for kind of taking constructive feedback and not spiraling?
I think, like, first acknowledge and understand and accept that you are going to make mistakes.
Right.
And that's okay. Like, that's a part of the summer learning process. The best way to approach receiving feedback and not spiraling is really seeing it as an opportunity to show yourself, to show that you're willing to meet expectations. Like for me, I remember I was doing an assignment for an attorney, and when we had our coffee chat about it, he wanted a very informal email. Emphasize wanting it to be like easy to read and things like that, and just don't have to worry about formal sightings. And so it was like my first time doing like an informal memo. I feel like in law school we always like,
you're like, break the blue book out. I'm gonna do all this.
So I was like, okay, hyperlinks is really easy. So I was like, let me just link the cases like that. But that was not the way.
They were looking
that was
tell us everything.
That was a mistake. I was like, oh my gosh, like he probably thinks I don't know how to blue book.
Did he want you to blue book?
I don't know, because
Still
don't know, but I did it the second time because I wanted to show him like, hey, like I know how to say. I did it formally, but just via email. I told him that I would like to talk about how the assignment went, like afterwards, like after everything was done. And he said, oh, like I really appreciated how you immediately took my feedback. You took it very well, and I'm impressed with how like you showed back up. And so after that, like I continued to work with this attorney outside of like the formal like assignment portal, but just working with him in like other assignments. That mistake was an opportunity for me to show that attorney like, hey, like you can invest in me and I can take things in stride. And I think just keep in mind like failure is probably the best way to learn.
100%. And I love that. And I think like from that story, it's actually great that you made a mistake. And I know that sounds weird, but it's like the way that you were able to show him, like, this is how I show up in a mistake and how I come back and reinvest and double down and listen. That's really what they're looking for, right? They're going to train you on the work, but they can't train you on your attitude and your approach. That's either inherent in you or you're building towards that. And that's what I've really valued and loved about you is like your positive energy and the way that you invest in the work and like what you bring to the firm every day. And so that's why I was like, Sidney's gonna be the best person.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah. I think that's a reflection of the energy that I felt from the firm and the people that I was working with. They gave me that energy back. It was just a really good work environment. I was nervous coming into Big Law because I feel like there's a lot of anxiety around it, but it really is about the people. I was really lucky with the folks that I ended up building connections with.
The other piece on feedback that I had a question about, because I'm sure you dealt with this, and there's a lot of listeners that will also deal with this. When you finish an assignment and obviously you're seeking feedback and you reach out to, say, a partner and you're like, hey, can I get feedback on the assignment? Crickets. You follow up. How do you deal with that? And also, how do you deal when you don't get feedback?
I think just like keep in mind that the attorneys are very busy, so I would just say don't take it personal. Like, if you reach out to someone to review and they say yes, then schedule it. But if you reach out and you don't get a response, or maybe they do respond but you aren't able to like make it happen, reach out one more time.
Right.
If they don't, you can just kind of leave it at that. Right. And I would say don't go past that. But I think that's why it's so important to have mentors, have people that you can talk to, because if you don't get feedback from maybe the assigning attorney, you can take it to somebody else that might have time. You can say, this is what I did, what do you think? Or these were the questions that I had. This was a mistake I think I made. And that can be another way where you can get feedback, even if you can't get it from the assigning attorney.
Yeah. And also sometimes no feedback is also good feedback.
No news is good news sometimes.
No news is good news.
And also, like, to your point about mentors, like, those mentors probably know that person, that assigning attorney, and kind of knows their cadence and their work schedule, and they can also assuage your fears and just be like, yeah, they're really busy. They are actually preparing for a trial or whatever, and so they can give you a little bit more of the tea of like maybe why that person never gives feedback. It's kind of good to know like all of the context around it and really lean on your mentors for both formal and informal feedback.
And also, I'm like, if you're getting more work from them, that's positive feedback.
Yeah. Yes, that's so
you're
true.
Fine.
Yeah.
They're still giving you work, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
One thing that you had brought up too is, the reach out process. And you're like, okay, I reached out twice. One thing that I'm thinking about to bring it back to like even just like approaching work, do you have any tips and tricks for like how to reach out to the attorneys in terms of confirming their preferences of being reached out to? Like, how would you originally reach out? Is it over email or?
Yeah, that's another thing that I would confirm in that initial that initial meeting when you get the project. Do you prefer email? Do you prefer Teams? Do you prefer in person? I worked with attorneys that like kind of like it ranged. So confirming that, and I think just staying consistent to that once they let you know their preference. Yeah. And I think also just walk around. Sometimes you like will wave in and they might usher you in. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways. If you can, like that initial meeting, like definitely confirm that so that you have that information moving forward.
Yeah. If not, I would probably defer to email.
Yeah, I agree.
I think one time I had a summer associate who Teams'd a partner, and I think the partner responded and was like, wait, what is that?
Some people are like allergic to Teams.
Yes, they were like, wait, what are we on right now? And they were like,
how did you message me? What is this?
I was like, oh my God.
I love Teams though.
I do too. We are Teams queens. Yes.
No, I tell everyone, I'm like, if you want an answer from me like right away, you need to Teams me because my email sometimes can get scary, and as I'm sure yours does too. I'm like, just Teams me, like it's the best way to get a hold of me.
Yeah, but that being said,
some people don't know what Teams is. So be careful.
So like, you might Teams them and you never hear back and you're like, oh, sad, and it's because they saw it. It's not even downloaded. They don't even Yeah, so I think that is a really good point. Even like when you're reaching out for feedback, divert to that approach that they talked to you about at that initial meeting, right? Where they said, oh, I'm okay with Teams. Maybe you could follow up over Teams like that second time.
Yeah.
Maybe. What do you think? I don't know.
I would say go for it. Because at the end of the day, like you're not, especially if it's about an assignment, like they're going to see that as you being interested in the work.
Yeah.
But I would also just say don't overdo it.
Yeah.
I would say reach out twice over all platforms. If you do email once, Teams, and then I would just leave it at that and let them kind of.
2-time rule. That's
it.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always tell my summer associates, if you're really unsure, just come talk to me. To your point, like sometimes you know the people, and you're like, oh, they're just like super busy, and you should just stop by their office. Yeah, everyone has their nuances. Yeah. But okay, so you entered the summer program, obviously, as we know, you entered and you finished. Did you have any personal or professional goals that you set for yourself?
Yeah, I think that I approached the summer with 3 goals for myself. So first, I wanted to confirm that intellectual property was something that I was genuinely interested in. Taking classes over it was one thing, but I wanted to see what it looked like in daily practice. And this summer I was able to do that, and I was able to confirm, okay, like this is something that I can actually see myself doing. This is something I'm excited about. I'm more curious about the more I'm learning. So that was a huge goal for me to just confirm that. Second, like I mentioned earlier, like finding a mentor was a huge goal, that I wanted to make sure that I had somebody that I could be open with, be candid with like questions, and feel comfortable to have a space where I'm like, okay, if I'm nervous or scared or like. And then lastly, I think just like making sure to keep up with like my personal physical well-being, because we ate out a lot over the summer.
It's like the freshman 15.
It is. It truly is the freshman 15.
Yeah. So I used the gym. I tried to make sure to use the gym in the office like a couple times a week.
And a lot of firms have some sort of either like health benefit or gym or something like that.
Yeah.
If you have questions about that, reach out to the recruiting team and they can let you know, even ahead of the summer, like what kind of benefits you'll have.
Goodwin actually, I think they paid for it.
I just have a question about your practice area interest. So you said you wanted to confirm that IP was, where you wanted to be. How did you kind of determine that IP was of interest to you? Especially, like I said, you were a 1L summer associate. So how did you even know that was of interest to you? How did you confirm that was your interest, and like any, tips or tricks for people who maybe come in and they're like, I don't know, maybe this is it, maybe it's not?
That's a great question. I think for one, at Berkeley, we're allowed to choose some electives our first year of law school, like the second semester. So I was able to already delve into IP a little bit. So I had a little background knowledge. But the way that I confirmed it was reaching out to IP attorneys and trying to work with them. And I was able to see like a trade secrets case through. I was able to be on a mock juror for an upcoming case that they have coming up with trade secrets. And then I was able to delve into a copyright case. And for me, I don't have a technical background. I majored in philosophy. And I was able to connect with other attorneys that didn't have technical backgrounds. And I think for me, like what really interests me in IP is copyright mostly, because I like the idea of structure, but having the ability to be creative within that structure. So when it comes to defending infringement with copyright cases and like using like the fair use defense, like you have those 4 like brackets that you need to hit. You can be creative within that. And I think just like kind of seeing other attorneys like do it was like, okay, I can see myself, doing this as well.
And I think that's so interesting that you don't come with a technical background, because I know it varies, right? There's some firms who are like, for IP, you need to have that technical background. And then there's firms like us, right, who are like, you don't need that technical background. Like, we can teach you. We have like patent agents and other science advisors and things who will help us with that kind of stuff. When you were coming to Goodwin, did you know that we were open to that, to not having a technical background?
I did. Okay. And that's because before even applying, like I reached out to attorneys at Goodwin, even other IP attorneys, just because I was curious about the practice area and I asked those questions. So I would say that's another way to confirm, and you won't really know until you see it, but just ask questions, like the conversations, and it kind of brings it back to networking. Like you just have to ask questions. Don't be afraid to be curious, and you're going to get a better answer from a working attorney than Google probably about what it really is to work in these practice areas. Yeah, just conversations is how I got all the information.
Coming out of your 1L classes and going into the Big Law experience, was it what you anticipated it would be? Like, did you feel prepared for it from school, or is it like completely different? I
felt prepared, but it also, like, the stakes felt so much higher. So that kind of, it changed it a bit. Like, I felt prepared, but I also felt, oh my gosh, like I'm really nervous to even approach this stuff. I kind of like when it's high stakes like that, because it kind of pushes me to rise to that occasion.
Get it, girl.
Diamonds are made under pressure.
That's how I approached it.
Last words of advice or anything that you left out that you want to mention?
So in terms of last words of advice, I would say approach this opportunity with like your best foot forward, and remember to believe in yourself. You are going to get nervous. You are going to make mistakes. You are going to feel overworked at times, but just remember to keep your mindset and in a positive manner. If you do have like times where you're like, oh my God, how am I going to finish this? Because I definitely had those moments.
Yeah.
But just practicing, reframing any thoughts that, oh my God, I can't do this. Just practice reframing it in your mind. Like, no, I can. Like, oh, I'm nervous to approach this. I'm nervous to go talk to that person. Reframe it in your mind. I'm nervous, but I can still do it. Like, I'm still gonna.
Yeah.
So I think just having that kind of mentality, practicing it now, even before you start Big Law, is going to be really helpful. If you practice it now, when you're in the environment, you're going to be able to navigate it more smoothly.
Right.
Love that.
All right. Well, thank you so much
Sydney.
for coming, Sydney.
Thank you for having
it's been great.
me. Appreciate it.